Good afternoon, everyone. I'm asked you here for a quick briefing with respect to what pertained today in Parliament with the resolution that was passed to remove the Deputy Speaker. Today has been a difficult day for both Parliament and parliamentarians. I have been a member of both houses of this Parliament over the course of the last 32 years, and you can recall the moments when there are difficult days, and this is one. The reality is that the public is aware that the Honourable Member for St. Michael Northwest, who was Deputy Speaker until today, has been charged, and since being charged has now been indicted. The difference between a charge and an indictment, of course, is that a charge is at a preliminary stage where a person is not yet facing the court the case to answer. I want to say from the very outset, in the middle of all I have to say, and at the end of all that I have to say, in our system, a person is innocent until proven guilty. Indeed, there is no obligation on any person who has been charged or indicted to prove their innocence. That is for the prosecution. And I want, therefore, to make it absolutely clear that what was done today bears no relationship whatsoever to this private matter. But this matter is equally about the Deputy Presiding Officer of the Parliament of Barbados facing personal matter. And we have maintained at all times that whatever our positions are, we must never allow Parliament, which deals with the public business of the country, to be involved in the private business of a member. This has been a position that we have taken as a party in the last term, or not the last term, in the last term as opposition, I should say, when the then Speaker of the House was involved in a matter that was a civil suit and judgment, and where there may have been preliminary discussions for questioning, but never resulting in any charges. On that occasion, the Committee of Privileges, and we made a position with respect to that, met. It had one meeting, and thereafter, the other members who belonged to the then government did not allow that meeting to ever have a quorum so that it could continue its business. At the end of the day, the Parliament was dissolved, that matter was unresolved, and the matter was overtaken by the results of the next election, which saw that particular member not regaining his seat. Previously, and I remember this clearly as a child, in 1975, we had another presiding officer who then was the victim of a judgment in the High Court, and that judgment would have led to his bankruptcy. If I recall correctly, I believe that the judgment was as a result of a libel case that was brought against him by members of the opposition, and he was adjudged as owing damages pursuant to the libel matter. In those circumstances, the case, and I recall that on the 15th of April, 1975, the House received a letter from him requesting 6 months leave of absence. There was some debate on the matter at the time, as it was felt that he owed the House of Assembly a reason for his absence. The House eventually divided and was given in the vote, and he was given the 6 months on the 15th of April 1975. He never resumed speakership after that 6 months leave. And on the 20th of January 1976, the Deputy Speaker announced that he was in receipt of correspondence from the then Chief Justice that had indicated that the then Speaker, Mr. Maxwell, a debtor, had been adjudged bankrupt under the Bankruptcy Act of Barbados, and that therefore he was subject to a disqualification from the Parliament. In this case, there is no consideration whatsoever of anything other than the Deputy Presiding Officer of the Parliament of Barbados being involved in a private matter. It is a judgment of all of us that he be allowed the time to allow himself to deal with this matter, and indeed to be able to ensure that his assertion of innocence is capable of being pursued. By the same token, while that is going on and he be given all the space to do that, we have to ensure that the public business of the Parliament of Barbados, and by extension as an arm of the Government of Barbados, can continue without, as I said, being embroiled in the private issues of a particular member. To that extent, therefore, a decision was taken by the Cabinet and the Parliamentary Party that we would request the change, and that today, therefore, the Leader of Government Business in the House would have spoken in order to secure that change for the Parliament of this country. I have every confidence, therefore, that now that Mr. Rowe's matter is reaching a different stage, that he be given all of the support and opportunity to be able, as I said, to fight and maintain his innocence, recognizing that he doesn't have to prove anything, but that those who assert must prove against him. And that secondly, that the Parliament of Barbados can continue with its public business without it being embroiled in the private circumstances of a particular member, regardless of who that member is. This is therefore the third time in which a presiding officer has been involved in some kind of public issue involving their personal circumstances, and in each instance there were different results. In the one of Mr. Maxwell, as I said, he was eventually removed as a result of his being a debtor. In the one of Mr. Carrington, he was not removed. In this particular instance, we simply say, let the public business of Parliament continue, and let Mr. Rowe have all of the opportunity to assert his independence, his innocence, and at the same time recognize that those who assert and allege against him must prove the case. I don't know that there's anything more else to say, except that we wish our colleague all the very best. There is no issue of his representation as an MP. That is a member for the people of St. Michael Northwest that was settled, and indeed that is not an issue in this matter at all today. Thank you very much.